Okay, so this is the Game 1 class where all of these things are brought together. So, first of all, we'll need to create the input engine and pass it down a reference to the game because it's a game component. Then we have a new camera being created. Vector2 is the position of the camera, top left hand corner, and then the world size I'm setting to the same as the viewport because we don't need to move outside the viewport for this DSA example. Turning on the mouse so you can see it, so we can do the click action that I talked about in the last video. So most of the action happens here in the load content. We create our sprite batch object and then we add that as a service. Now it's important and that will be added in the sample project as well. So it's important that we add that as a service because our game component class is actually going to retrieve that as a service and draw the texture which it gets from the dictionary of textures associated with the image name, right, which is basically the name of the game component. Okay, we'll go back to game 1 there. So now what we do here is we use the load or content load method, and again that returns a dictionary of, as you can see in the code outlined here at the bottom, returns a dictionary of texture 2Ds indexed by string, and it loads them from the images folder. So you'll be given the content as well. So in the images folder, if we're loading from images, it's going to take enemy 1, enemy 2 and enemy 3 and load them into the game utilities static global game textures. Again, just for convenience and for ease of drawing using the dictionaries. Now what's going on here is if we want to add additional items to that same dictionary, what we can do here is we can use a for each and then we can pull a texture, or well, we can pull a reference actually, which is a key value pair of string texture 2Ds, string indexed texture 2Ds, and you can specify the subfolder here, which is images and then textures. So I'm actually adding these whatever images I have in there, I'm adding them in. So that loader function there will again return a dictionary which can then be iterated over with this for each, and then all we have to do is just add those individual key value pairs to the key value pairs of the S-game textures indexed by the key that will be stored in there, and the value that'll be actually a texture 2D, as you can see from the highlighted section just down below here. So once we've got them, I can create a game component, in this case an enemy game component called E1, and I just create it, and because it's a game component I have to pass in the reference to the game to it, the name of the object which should match the name of the image, and should match the name of the sound effect that I'm going to play when I click on it. So they're the same name in both instances. You could have different names depending on the situation that arises, in which case you could add in a new field here for sound, for a sound name, so you could have a different sound name. Again, the name of the object is taken from image name, but again you could change all those in terms of implementation in the actual exam. So here we're loading all the sound effects. Again, we're using the loader, passing it down the sound effect generic type, and we're filling in the sound effects into the static dictionary that's held in the loader. In the audio manager, as you can see. So that gets stored in there, and that's what we're at there. Okay. So the net result of that is we load all the images from the default images folder, which is enemy 1, enemy 2 and enemy 3, and then we can add on additional images into that same dictionary by just adding them, getting the loader to load them, return the dictionary, iterate over the dictionary, and then take the key and value pairs and put them in to the global reference of the S-game textures, and then we can just pull them back based on their name anytime you want. This is just an example here of indexing the dictionary by the name of an item. If we just want to pull it back and display it on the screen, that's actually just going to display a background. Because this is a game component, it'll actually draw itself once it's created. So we go into the constructor for that once again, make it active. That's just so you can see it on the screen. Always remember the active. Then the update will happen as part of the game loop, and the draw will happen, and the actual drawing of the object happens in the game component class, where it pulls back the image from the dictionary, global dictionary, uses the get service. Again, you can add services if you need them in the game 1 class, if you want to pass them around between game components, and then it draws it. So we'll just have a look at it in action here. And very simply, there we have it, drawing the background stretched out to the size of the viewport, and here's our individual item, and if we click on that, it just plays the sound and then it disappears from the screen. And that's it. The code is available on GitHub. I'll post a link to the code on GitHub where you can download it and have a look at it in your own time.